Ontology philosophy, the greatest ideas in the world. Anselm, Platinga, and the Critics' Corner, learning and letters too. Fun every day, here on Theology Street. Welcome to Theology Street. I'm your host, and today we're learning about the ontological argument for God's existence. So, what is the ontological argument?
An ontological argument is one of the arguments used to prove the existence of God. Typically, the argument starts with the definition of God and concludes with his necessary existence, utilizing a priori reasoning or reasoning based on experience and observation.
Yes! Pretty much the argument is about explaining God. Simple, huh? Let's go visit Anselm to shed some light on this topic. Anselm starts with an A. Great job, everybody. Say hi to Anselm.
Hi, everybody. I've been working on this argument for quite a while now, since 1078. Want to hear about it? Great. Well, you see, I wanted everyone to know that God was real, so I came up with a formula that would make the existence of God easy to understand. It only took 6 premises. Let's start with point 1. Our understanding of God is a being that which no greater can be conceived. This means that, however hard we may try to think of a being more powerful than God, none are greater. Second is the idea that God exists in the mind. Point 3 is a being that exists both in the mind and in reality is greater than a being that exists only in the mind. Beings that originate in our minds are easy to imagine as being as great and powerful as our God. However, bringing the concept of God into reality is where the true metal of God's existence is tested.
Fourth, if God only exists in the mind, then we can conceive of a greater being, one that exists in reality. Fifth, we cannot imagine something that is greater than God. Finally, this allows us to conclude that God exists.
Wow, you're awful smart, Anselm.
Thanks. Now that you understand my role in the ontological argument, let's hear from my friends, Dierdorff and Platinga. They built upon the fundamental principles of my theory to make it stronger and more easily understood.
Everyone say hi to Dierdorff and Platinga!
I'm Dierdorff.
And I'm Platinga.
I simplified Anselm's rather complex argument with geometry, using the reasoning that a four-sided triangle makes as much sense as an all-powerful God that doesn't exist. This made Anselm's argument easier to understand for geometrically inclined people, like me.
To strengthen Anselm's ontological argument, I attach conditions to the greatest being that can be conceived. In order for this to be a being of maximum excellence, it must possess 3 traits. It must be omnipotent, omniscient, and wholly good. This alteration, coupled with Anselm's foundational principles, to ensure that the ontological argument is still around today.
Well, as we all know, everyone's a critic. Thus, you won't mind if we introduce you to a few that live right here, will you? Get excited! Among these critics are 2 notable philosophers, Immanuel Kant and Thomas Aquinas. They believe that they have brought down the mighty ontological argument. Let's explore these supposed flaws.
I believe the ontological argument is pure hogwash. If you don't believe me, you have only to read my book, The Critique of Pure Reason. It refutes and renders on some rambling about God's existence. Well, non-existence.
I believe that God's existence is self-evident, and I reject the idea that it can be deduced from claims about the concept of God. I argue that not everyone who hears the word God understands it to signify something other than which nothing greater can be thought. Some people have even believed God to be a body. The idea here is that since different people have different concepts of God, this argument works, if at all, only to convince people who define God in the same way.
This is really confusing if you don't pay close attention. Even though Anselm's ontological argument has many supporters, many thought his argument was invalid.
I still believe it's right, don't you?
Now, Anselm, don't badger the kids. One day, when they are ready, they can decide for themselves if they want to believe in the ontological argument is true. So, until then, just keep learning and exploring as many new ideas as you can. Goodbye for now!
Theology, philosophy, the greatest ideas in the world. Anselm, Platinga, and the Critics' Corner. Learning and letters too. Fun every day. Here on Theology Street.
Today's program was brought to you by Wikipedia and several other sources. For more information, please see the bibliography. Thank you!